Okay folks, it's time. I'm going to start the engine. I'm really sorry about the last video where I said I was going to start the engine about 8 times and then never did. We're going to start it now. I've got the exhaust back on loosely. Petrol on. We've chugged over the I've chugged over the engine with the plugs out to make sure we've got oil flow. Done that. I don't think I need to show you that. Basically just watch it in there until the oil comes back. I'm going to take the cap off because I want to see what the oil flows like with the engine started, assuming it does start. Choke on full. Choke on a T160 over here on the side of the carbs, and it's on. The choke is on a Trident when the cable is slack, when you like let the lever off, and what happens is the choke slides. Then as you slacken the cable, the choke slides fall down in the carbs. Then when you tighten the lever back up, it raises the chokes back out of the way, because some people are often confused as to which way is on and which way is off. Basically when the cable is slack, in this case that's anti-clockwise. All right, and when the cable's tight, the choke is off, and that's why a lot of people take their chokes off the bikes, because what happens is when you're riding along, sometimes the vibration, if you haven't got that choke lever tightened up enough, the choke will slowly slide on. I've had it happen to me, and suddenly boom, you know, riding along, suddenly boom, and the bike's running like a complete dog, and you think what's going on. It's because the choke's gone on, and of course when the engine's hot, nightmare. Right, fuel on. Tickle, right hand carb. Chokes on, full. Tickle middle carb. On a T160 you've got this extra lever, little tickle lever here, which means you can get to the middle carb. So I'm a bit noisy outside. I've had to open the doors obviously because we're down here in the basement, and the fumes from starting the bike, not great. Okay, tickle left hand carb. Choke on. In neutral. Yeah. Ignition on. Kill switch on. Yeah. On this bike I've discovered the kill switch is on when it's down. They do vary. Anyway, electric start. I'm just going to, if it starts I'll run it a bit and then shut it down. But here we go, fingers crossed. First start up. Spoke too soon there, didn't I? It did start, I did fire. Let's try it again. Now, if it starts, then the thing is to you've got to keep tickling it every time in between. Come on. Yeah, well I did say I'd loosely fitted the exhaust, I think maybe a bit too loosely, but the engine has started. Oh yes. Right, after that first start up, great, the engine's running. Obviously I had to turn things off pretty quick with the exhaust coming off, so we'll start again. I've clamped it on a bit better, so hopefully it won't fall off this time. Petrol's still on. Give it another tickle. Always like a tickle when they're cold, even if it's just started. Let's see if we can, I'll check the oil flow return and see if I can get it to settle at all. Turning the choke off, we'll see. Not bad, except my attempt to loosely put the the exhaust back on has clearly failed because it sounded like a tractor, because it's basically come off again. So I'll try that again, and then we'll try again. Okay, I've tried to put the exhaust on, hopefully a bit more securely this time. Had me worried for a second, it sounded like a tractor, just the exhaust came off again. I'll try it again, try and run it for a bit longer. We've definitely got oil returning to the tank, brilliant. Oil pressure warning lights going off, brilliant. Engine sounds okay. I'm just going to try and run it, turn the choke off and get the revs down a bit. Don't want to idle it there's too much because it's a brand new engine, but I want to see if I can get it off choke a bit. I don't know if I can. I'll try starting it without tickling. Never know. Okay, I've got the strobe ready, so it's strobe's connected to the negative, positive terminals of the battery, and then the sort of indication lead or signal lead is on the timing side, clipped to the timing side HT lead. Okay, so we've got power. I'm going to start the engine, and then I'm going to I'll try and get this on camera. I don't know quite the best way of doing it, we'll see. And then I'll fire it into there, and the line should line up exactly with that hole there. That would be perfect timing when the engine's at about 3000 revs plus. So that's what I'm going to try now. So I'm going to start the engine up, and then I'm going to fire the strobe and see what the engine time is like. It sounds pretty good to me. I don't know what you're going to see on camera, but hopefully it will pick it up. Here we go. Excellent. So timing, just I don't know if you can see from there because the camera's at a slight angle, but looking straight on that line, I think you could see it virtually dead on, maybe half a mil to the left, but certainly good enough for now. So fantastic. I thought so pretty dead on. So I'm going to try running the engine a bit more now, a bit longer, and see if I can get it to tick over at all. No sign of smoke out of the exhaust so far, which is fantastic. Always a worry. So things are looking positive at the moment, but that's only at the moment. I don't count our chickens, but obviously, no bad news is good news. You know what I mean? So I'm going to try running it a bit longer now and see if I can get it to settle a bit. Needs more tick over. As soon as I take the choke off, then it's faltering. You need to turn the tick over up a bit. Okay, so tick over on a T160 is set via this sort of slightly rusty rod here, which basically simply pushes up and pushes on the gantry, opening the throttle. Now, whoever designed this, I really do think wants shooting. But the only spanner I've ever got to fit this is actually a 12mm metric spanner for a start. I've tried Whitworth, I've tried Imperial, but I always find the best spanner I always find to fit is 12mm. So I'm just going to turn this up a bit. The problem being you know, I have to do it now really with the engine off, because of course it's virtually impossible to do with the engine running, because if it's too slow it just stalls all the time while you try and do this. Clive, dear old Clive Scarf, who does all the a lot of stainless stuff and upgrades, he does sell like an upgrade for this, for the T160, and it's basically a little sort of knurled screw on a cable which comes out here, and so you can actually just adjust your tick over. I've got it on my T160. It's brilliant because I've got a neighbour. I've got a neighbour coming round, so I'll cut off for a minute. Bye. Right, okay, so basically I can't, it seems to want choke. The engine wants choke. As soon as you take the choke off, then don't want to know. So I don't want to re-torque, and I want to get the engine running properly first, and then I'll re-torque and everything and check the tappets and so on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this air filter, this is actually a T150 air filter, not a T160 one, and just to check there's nothing blocking the inlets, because it doesn't seem to want to run without choke at all. I've got it to tick over, but very roughly, not brilliant. So first thing I do is remove that and take it from there. Right, sorry. Well, there's good news and bad news. We've got it started. Everything seems generally okay, and you know, it's all running okay. But I'll find where I am on this camera. There's definitely a fueling issue. It doesn't want to tick over. It'll run fine. You turn the choke off. It doesn't like it even when it's warm. And it doesn't want to tick over. I think there's some kind of fuel. When you tickle it, it's running fine. But then, like when the fuel goes down a bit, then it seems to it doesn't want to know. So it will tick over for a bit, and then it will suddenly just die. I think it might be, dare I say it, something to do with the float levels. You know, when it's absolutely full, it's fine, but then I found out it is better if I turn both fuel taps on. It will run for that a little bit longer, but then again it will die, suggesting there's some kind of fuel starvation issue. So I'll take the carbs off next, and give them a thorough check over, see what's there. The good news is we're running, everything seems generally okay, but it's not running right, can't get it to tick over. So I'll take the carbs off, and at the same time take the tank off. I'll probably re-torque the head and do the tappets, because the engine's now it's all pretty hot now, and I always like to re-torque and check things immediately after first startup, and then after 100 miles or so. All right, but it's anyway, we're running, which is great news, but we're not running right, so it's got to be carbs off and give them a check over and see what's wrong.